It's the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show, brought to you by Stock Car Steel and Aluminum and SRI Supply. Here's tonight's Speed 77 Radio Race Chaser Online Crew Chief, Tom Baker.
It's Thursday evening, everyone. Welcome to our version of Thursday Night Thunder here on the Performance Motorsports Network. We call it the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show, and we talk motorsports and nothing but motorsports for the next couple of hours here on this Thursday night, coming to you from various points across the country here this evening. And looking forward to this show, we've got some driver guests. We're going to hear from Ryan Reed, NASCAR Xfinity Series and, well, part-time market racer this year at 7:30, just about a half hour from now. And we got some other folks that are going to be joining us as well throughout the program. We're excited about all of them. Busy schedule here. My name is Tom Baker, the owner and CEO and senior editor of RaceChaserOnline.com. And I am joined at the proverbial round table by none other than the managing editor of our website, Jacob Seelman, and our assistant editor and Northeast correspondent, Kyle Magda, tonight, the Power Trio. And I'm going to start with Kyle here just for a moment. You were supposed to be going to Dover here. We're going to change those plans to keep you safe, but we're still going to be doing as much as we can to cover the event from a distance. And, just an amazing set of circumstances here with the storm system we've already got up here and the hurricane that's coming in or supposedly coming up the coast. Really just not the way you would really want to set up a NASCAR weekend that is so critical, especially for the Cup Series and the Chase.
Yeah, NASCAR's in a box right now. I think everybody knows that. But, it's you have to just think the safety of everybody, the fans, the crew members, the media members. There's just so much going on right now, Tom. I mean, that pretty much factored into my decision for not going. But yeah, I think, at the end of the day, when you think what's going on, with me, someone texted me yesterday, there's only one of me, and that is true. I'm not cloned. I can't do any of that. But, yeah, there's just, it's right now, the entire week, it's, just thoughts and prayers, for whoever's in the path of that storm. Hopefully they get back safe.
Yes.
They get safe because what I've heard before, it's Category 4 Hurricane Joaquin. I know that the path is kind of getting away a little bit from the East Coast, but still, Tom, there's still a lot of uncertainty with that storm.
Well, there is, and fortunately, it's a situation, Kyle, where we've got. The NASCAR situation is a very tenuous one, and yet at the same time, they've got a little bit of time. They're certainly not going to cancel the entire weekend at once. They're going to evaluate this day by day just like they always do. Now, the other luxury that we have is that we actually are going from Dover to Charlotte, which is the home base for pretty much all the teams. So it does make it a little bit less logistically frightening because even if they have to run the race as late as Tuesday, Dover is within easy reach of an overnight drive, and you can get back and you can obviously change cars, do whatever you got to do, and still get to the track for load-in day on Wednesday. Just maybe have to be a little bit later load-in, and I'm sure they'll be adjusting that as they need to. But at least it isn't as though you've got to go to Charlotte and then turn around and go somewhere else for the rest of the week. So at least there's that. But definitely, as you say, our thoughts and prayers are with everybody who is involved or is going to be involved in the path of this storm, because it is certainly a frightening storm. And also, our thoughts and prayers this evening for all of those who are involved in the shooting at the college in Oregon. We certainly are awfully sad to hear of that, and our thoughts go out, prayers go out to the victims, the families of the victims, and everyone at that school. It's just frightening. And with that, we'll try to lighten things a little bit and keep things a little bit spirited here tonight. Jacob Seelman will welcome you in. And, again, just a very tenuous situation here for the NASCAR set, but not just NASCAR. I mean, there are tracks all over the East Coast that are already canceling their shows because you just can't take the chance. And one of the shows that would be a race that we would directly want to be involved with and talk about is the big race at Martinsville for the late model stocks, and that's been postponed back a week. And the unfortunate part of that is that it takes place on NASCAR weekend, although the Cup race is Saturday night, so in theory everybody's free to cruise up to Martinsville for Sunday. But still, it's a tough weekend with people, who may be so committed to the Cup stuff to have that extra day to go up and do that. But just an example of how Mother Nature is just really messing with us here right now.
Yeah, have I mentioned that I hate the rain? If I haven't ever mentioned that on this show, let's go ahead and clarify that right now. I hate the rain.
We needed the rain in Charlotte. Surely did. And, didn't need it all at once and certainly didn't need so much. But we definitely needed the rain. It's amazing how it's been a very quiet, for the most part, very quiet hurricane season or, big storm season in the area. And all of a sudden here, right at the tail end of it, it starts to get going. Maryland and Virginia both already under states of emergency. And I can only expect that North Carolina won't be far behind.
No, and neither will South Carolina, where the eye of this storm is expected to hit. But I vote enough talking about the rain for a minute. I want to go fresh off the wire here, Tom, because we got a couple big news stories to kick off tonight, and I think none bigger. And I hesitate to call this a news story. It is a news story, but it was also the most expected announcement of the entire week coming out of Stewart-Haas Racing on Wednesday afternoon. Watched the press conference, had fun with that. And Tony Stewart announced his retirement effective the end of 2016. Clint Boyer, as we've all speculated and rumored on this program, and of course the Monday Night Motorsports Madness program, going to SHR in 2017. And, definitely looking forward to that. I know a lot of people, though, have said it's not going to be the same once Tony retires. I mean, he just, Tom, we talk about personalities. Tony Stewart has always been a personality, and I'm going to miss that at the end of next year once that final race at Homestead gets done, and I can only hope he's competitive next year. We all want to see that. Nobody wants to see Tony have to ride off on his black horse into the sunset, kind of coughing and sputtering here.
Well, that's very true, and I finished a column this afternoon about that, and it's on racechaseronline.com as we speak. I took a little bit of a different approach to it. I mean, I think we all really half expected that it was coming. He denied it for a good bit, but I think that was more a factor of, maybe it started to get out a little bit too far too soon, and he needed more time to get ducks in a row. But I think I'm happy that he was able to make the decision. At least I believe that he's making this of his own free will. Nobody's forcing him to retire. Nobody's, there's no extenuating circumstances. He's doing this because he feels like it's time. And I really believe, honestly, if we go back to a package with less downforce, less drag, more mechanical grip, to where, similar to what we've had at Kentucky and Darlington, go back to a package like that, make the cars more about driver response for next year. I think you're going to see Tony have a better year than what he's had the last couple. He's even starting to look good. These last several races that we've had, he's looked a little bit better. But I'm just happy he's doing it of his own free will, and I'm even more excited that he's talking about still wanting to be a racer. He's just not going to race Sprint Cup. So
Exactly.
That brings up a whole bunch of possibilities there, and that's what my column centered around today. I picked 5 races that I would love to see Tony tackle. Some of them are races he's run and won before multiple times, but he hasn't run them in a while, and a couple of them are races he's never run before. I just would like to see him start checking off bucket list items and see him in some different cars in different places, and let him go have some fun again.
Oh, I would love that. And Tony specified something that I think really was a little bit of a surprise to me until I thought about it. But he said actually the pressure was on the other foot. The pressure was for him to keep racing. He said there was no pressure on him to actually give it up and retire. Right. So he said that made the decision on his end very, very easy. And I'm just going to throw this out there, Tom, because I think when Claire B. Lang was talking to Tony about it, everybody thought he was kidding. But if you listened really closely to the press conference, there were a few comments towards the end where Tony more than once turned around to Gene Haas and talked about driving the Formula One car in 2017. And now we go all the way back. I think it was 2008 when he and Lewis Hamilton swapped cars for a day at Watkins Glen. And Tony got out of that car and said that was the most fun he's ever had behind the wheel of a race car. Now, you stop and consider, is there going to be an open seat? Well, there would appear to be. At the end of 2016, Kimi Räikkönen at the main Ferrari team that's supplying Gene Haas's team with all this equipment is going to be retiring, we think, and opening up a seat that you would expect one of the Haas drivers to get promoted to. There's your open seat, Tony said. As long as there's a professional on the team, he can put up with a rookie. And then he turned around and looked at Gene with a straight face and said, and I'm going to apologize now for wrecking a lot of your equipment, but I'm ready to go have fun while I'm doing it. And I think everybody thought that Tony was kidding when he said that. But when you stop and think about how all the circumstances and scenarios would come together, there's at least a chance that he might not have been kidding. I mean, I'm just saying.
You're opening up a can of worms that I don't think a lot of people would have ever considered. And the only thing I can say about that, I'll say 2 things before we step aside. The first is that would be amazing to watch, and he would just wreak havoc on all those foreigners over there. But the second thing is he's going to need to read Dr. Phil's 2020 diet book if he's going to do that for a season. So he's got to drop some weight to fit the car. Yeah, what are you thinking? Are you prepared? Anyway, we'll step aside when we come back. We'll continue with the Thursday madness here on the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show. You know where you're hearing it? On the Performance Motorsports Network.
In 50 feet, turn left. Why are you driving so slowly?
After a few drinks, I'm taking it slow.
Well, you're not fooling the cop behind you.
What?
Get ready to pay in 0.1 miles.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Do you love the sound of high-revving motors and the smell of burning rubber? Do you want to get your car sideways right at the ragged edge of control? If you've always wanted to try drifting or learn to improve your drifting skills, Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier motorsports facility, has the expert instructors and the specialized track to teach you how to drift and the skills necessary to drift competitively. From skid pad to open sessions, Summit Point Motorsports Park has the safe and open environment that allows drifters of all skill levels, new to intermediate, to get sideways and smoking. With a focus on safety and the skill set necessary to drift competitively, Summit Point Motorsports Park's Drift Nirvana is just the thing for you. Call for your reservation today, 304-725-8444. Or for more information, go online, summitpoint-raceway.com, or you can email them at office@bsrinc.com. Drift Nirvana, getting you sideways the right way.
This is Paul Stanley from Kiss for Rad, recording artists, actors, and athletes against drunk driving. Some of us work months producing a CD, but in less time than it takes to play it, someone will be killed in an alcohol-related crash. So please don't drive when you've been drinking. Plan ahead. Arrange a designated driver. Remember, friends don't let friends drive drunk.
A public service message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation, RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Performance Motorsports Network, your authority on motorsports of all types. Be listening for the most accurate and up-to-the-minute coverage of every motorsports activity that you enjoy on a daily basis. Be it NASCAR, be it IRL, be it Formula One, be it drag racing, be it dirt track, off-road, props, hulls, whatever. We are your source for motorsports. Performance Motorsports Network.
This is Joey Logano, driver of NASCAR number 22 Discount Tire Car. You know something? You and I aren't all that different. I drive a car, you drive a car. My car has tires, your car has tires. I may be going just a little faster than you each weekend, but we both need to keep those tires properly inflated to stay safe. So be tire smart and do your part. Check your tire pressures once a month and before every long journey.
Visit betiresmart.org. A message from the Rubber Manufacturers Association.
And now, back to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show with Speed 77 Radio's most follically challenged host, Tom Baker.
Wow, we're getting into the hair jokes early tonight.
Yeah, wow. Just get them out of the way. We are listening to Thursday Night Thunder. We call it the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show here on Performance Motorsports Network. Tom Baker, Jacob Seelman, Kyle Magda, all with you on a Thursday night, talking motorsports, talking smoke, and Tony's pending retirement. You know,
and a few other things too.
A few other things too, and I was thinking about something over the break. I mean, you know, you brought up the. You brought up the whole Tony going to Formula One thing, which I seriously doubt is going to happen. I can see him testing, but I just can't. I don't believe. I don't think Tony would want to honestly do that. Well, maybe he would for a whole year, but I could see him testing the car. But you know, one of the things I was thinking about is, you know, Tony needs a complete change. He needs. I think maybe part of why Tony seems to be excited about this is, you know, the chance to go back and take the pressure off. You know, go run when he wants to, where he wants to, what he wants to, because he wants to. You know, make racing fun again. No worrying about championships at the top level. No worrying about, you know, overcoming adversity at the top level. He's done that long enough. He's got nothing else to prove. I mean, my goodness, the man has done things that no other racer will ever do. You know, he was the first to win the USAC Triple Crown. He won the last IROC championship. He's won 3 NASCAR titles. You know, he's done very well at Indy. You know, countless as a team owner. He's won 20-something championships between his open wheel teams and the Sprint Cup operation. I mean, he's got a resume at this point that few others in motorsports can have or will have, guys. And I think this may be, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if now that this announcement's out there and it's over with, and the weight of making that decision is kind of off his shoulders, Jacob, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he immediately starts performing better just because that's out of the way. Now he knows what the situation is. He can just relax and go racing with no pressure.
Well, exactly. And that's the whole thing. Tony sounded so lighthearted on Wednesday because I think this announcement finally means, okay, the pressure's off. Now let's just go and race and see what happens. And I'm truly excited about that for Tony. You know, Jenna Fryer put out a column, I think it was very early this week, maybe Monday, where she said inside, and I've always agreed with this, you know, I just didn't think about it until I saw it put into writing. NASCAR for Tony has never been the joy factor that everything else racing-wise in his life is. NASCAR was always the job, and I think this is basically setting Tony free in a way. It's setting him free from the job to let him just be Tony. And I think that's what we should be most excited about coming out of all of this, Tom. You know, we've got a lot of racing left to go this season. I don't think we need to loom on this for too long. We've got another year with Tony in the field. And, you know, all of that starts this weekend, hopefully, at Dover. I mean, if we ever get it in, it'll be fun.
Well, I think, the relevancy and why we even spend as much time as we are is because I do think that it has the chance to have a really positive effect immediately, just for what I just said, just taking the pressure off and, not having to feel like he's got to live up to anything. He can just go out now and run each race to run it and have a good time doing it. And, I don't want to confuse what you said in terms of NASCAR being the job and the other stuff being the joy. I know he's enjoyed racing NASCAR, and I know that's not what you meant to say. But just to clarify it and put it out there, I don't think anybody's saying he didn't enjoy NASCAR, but I think it's come to a point now where it's he's just done enough of it, and he wants to go back and do some other things. And that's also why I can't see him getting tied up in an F1 whole season thing at his age, number one. Number two, again, the pressure would be there to perform, and you can't that wouldn't even be reasonable to expect him to just go over there and light the world on fire. It'd be a tremendous learning curve. That's why I could see him doing some testing with it, just playing around and whatever. I don't see that being where Tony goes. I think Tony's going to go back to the short tracks and run a bunch of stuff he's never run before, and maybe some stuff he has run before, go back and do what makes Tony happy. But definitely interesting stuff, and certainly I think the other connector of this is the Clint Bowyer piece. I saw a column earlier in the week that talked about how the first choice for Tony might have been Kyle Larson, who is going to be available in 2017, but Tony couldn't wait that long to grab him. It didn't work out. So Clint Bowyer becomes the second choice. And, personally, I think Clint Bowyer's certainly, he's a lot older, but I think personally he's going to be the perfect choice, because if you look at the drivers that are there, Jacob, with the attitudes they've got, the personalities they've got, the Kevin Harvicks, the Kurt Busch's, Tony, even Danica is starting to get develop that. I mean, Clint's going to fit in perfectly over there.
Oh, gosh. And don't forget, he and Kevin used to be teammates at Richard Childress Racing for a couple of years. And, I loved Tony's comparison of Clint Bowyer to Harry Gant. I know he was partially joking about the hair comment. Clint does have better hair than you, Tom. No offense. But,
he has more hair than me.
True. But Tony also pointed out that Clint's got a very similar dirt background to Tony, and Clint also, I think, has a passion for anything motorsports, kind of like Tony does. And that's all along what I think the key was going to be to filling that seat for the number 14 car. It wasn't just going to be another good shoe. It had to be somebody that had the passion for motorsports and not just the Sprint Cup Series that Tony did. And there were two people that I had thought of from the very beginning, ever since these rumors started happening, that fit that bill. Either A, Clint Bowyer, or B, Kyle Larson. And we've heard both of them referenced over the course of this first couple of segments. Tony really wanted Larson in that car. Didn't happen. So he got Clint Bowyer. It works out well. Clint has represented several of the sponsors over there before. I know Bass Pro's done some one-off deals with Bowyer, and he's very good friends with a lot of the folks over there. But to be quite honest, Tom, I think the most fun part about all this is the fact that, hey, Tony just got himself another hunting buddy in 2017.
Well, and Kyle Magda, this does kind of, again, we go into a can of worms that, I don't know if anybody intended to open, but Kyle Larson's availability in 2017. Now, a lot of people say, well, Chip Ganassi will never let him get away. Well, it depends who else is bidding. You just have
Rick
to
Hendrick?
wonder. Yeah. Well, no, I was going to give this to Kyle. You just have to wonder.
I was thinking the same thing, Jake.
Depending on who else decides to retire, or, maybe just they want to make a change. I mean, Kyle to the 5 car? Who knows? I mean, it's just you really start to think about this and you say, well, it really just depends on who wants him. And I'd personally rather see him stay with Chip. I'd like to see him help Chip build, continue to build that program. But gosh, dog, I mean, it really does bring up some interesting thoughts, doesn't it, Mag?
It does. I'm not sure when Casey Kane's contract is until, I want to say 2017 or 2018. Maybe you guys can help me on that.
Next year, yeah.
So, I mean, that's not a bad option. And keep in mind, I mean, there's going to be a lot of drivers going when Casey Kane's contract comes up, because I don't think right now that 5 team is very good for Casey Kane right now. So there's a lot to be thrown in there. And yes, Jacob, I do agree with you. I think Hendrick's a very good option for Kyle Larson. You're going to, but keep in mind, you're going to have Cole Custer. You're going to have Ben Rhodes down in the Xfinity and also the Truck Series. Even William Byron, I don't think he'll be in Cup that soon. But there's just so many drivers right now that could go for that ride. And Clint Bowyer is a good choice, guys, because keep in mind the last time he joined a new team with Michael Waltrip Racing, and he almost won the championship. So I wouldn't be shocked to see him go and do as good as he did in his first year with MWR, because when it's something different, guys, I mean, Clint Bowyer just goes out there and he'll be in a really good car, better than what he's getting right now. 2017. Not sure about 2016 with H. Scott Motorsports, Tom, but there's still a lot. There's a lot to still be seen here when Clint announces he's going to H. Scott Motorsports.
Hey, I was going to say, hey now, Kyle, don't forget that's not official yet, and it depends. Well, keep in mind that's about the only thing they could possibly do tomorrow with this hurricane coming.
That's about all the news you're going to hear out of Dover this week, other than Mother Nature, raining on the parade, no pun intended. But so there you go.
It will be most interesting to see what goes on from here with all of that. But certainly an interesting. And I think, if not unexpected, certainly an entertaining announcement and press conference yesterday with Tony Stewart. With that, we are going to step aside. When we come back, we are going to talk NASCAR Xfinity Series. Ryan Reed expected to be joining us just around the turn. You're listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network, the voice of motorsports.
Parents, your son or daughter has had their license for a while now, but you want to make sure they're prepared for any situation they may face on the road. High school driver's ed doesn't teach them to drive defensively. They need to be prepared for any highway emergency. For less than a month's insurance, and a whole lot less, BSR instructors at Summit Point Motorsports Park in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, will teach your son or daughter how to respond instantly and positively to unexpected situations on the road. BSR's specialized accident avoidance training teaches swerve to avoid maneuvers at highway speed, ocular driving, which focuses driving attention on ways to avoid accidents, vehicle dynamics and feedback, skid control and skid recovery, threshold braking on straights and progressive braking on curves, and off-road recovery techniques. This is stuff driver's ed simply doesn't teach. So call BSR today, 304-725-8444. Give your kid the skill set needed to drive safely and responsibly on the highway. That's 304-725-8444.
The odds of a young girl being discovered by an industry insider while singing to herself pumping gas. 1 in 300 million. The odds of a daughter of a clergyman from Severn, Maryland, spending 11 weeks at number 1 on the U.S. singles charts. 1 in 19 million. The odds of going on to win 7 Grammy Awards. 1 in 1.4 million. The odds of selling over 40 million records. 1 in 800,000. The odds of this musician and performer having a child diagnosed with autism. 1 in 68. I'm Toni Brexton, and I encourage you to learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference. Autism Speaks. It's time to listen. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Eric Darnell.
This is David Reagan. Jamie McMurray.
This is Carl Edwards here for RED, the entertainment industry's voice for road safety.
Want to make a difference? It's simple. Be responsible.
Plan ahead. Designate before you celebrate.
Friends don't let friends drive drunk.
A public service message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation, RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Performance Motorsports Network, your authority on motorsports of all types. Be listening for the most accurate and up-to-the-minute coverage of every motorsports activity that you enjoy on a daily basis. Be it NASCAR, be it IRL, be it Formula One, be it drag racing, be it dirt track, off-road, props, hulls, whatever. We are your source for motorsports. Performance Motorsports Network. Here we go with more of the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Welcome back to tonight's Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show here on the Performance Motorsports Network. Tom Baker along with Jacob Seelman and Kyle Magden. It is time to move from just our discussion into our driver discussion segment of the show. And Jacob, we have got a driver on deck here ready to go full throttle with us who I have been looking forward to all week long, and I know you have too. Certainly a driver with a very special situation who has had some great success in the ARCA series this year and also has had great success in the Xfinity series as well.
Yeah, he has. And I got a chance to talk with him last year around Indianapolis, and glad to have Ryan Reed on the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show. Ryan, first off, welcome to the program. And, you know, for you, the season started off with a bang when you won at Daytona, and now you've added 2 ARCA Series victories to that with Lyra Motorsports. I know you wanted the second Xfinity win first, but I have to imagine Kentucky had to be a pretty good consolation prize on Saturday.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me on, guys. And yeah, it's been a pretty cool year. You know, I think anytime you're winning races and you know, you're having a lot of fun, that's what racing's all about. So Kentucky was great. You know, we was honestly, I didn't feel like we had a good shot at winning in the ARCA series, and you know, we ended up pulling that one off. So that was really cool. You know, those ones where you can take a race car that maybe isn't the best, and you know, you have good pit stops, and crew chief makes good decisions on pit stop strategy. It makes it a lot of fun. And then you know, the Xfinity Series race, honestly, I thought I had a pretty good race car, and we got taken out. We caught up in someone else's mess on lap 2. Wasn't that much fun, but you know, at least we got out of there with 1 win.
Yeah, you get out there with at least 1 trophy out of the 2, and I'm a little curious, honestly, because I know when this whole deal with Lyra Motorsports came together, everybody was kind of looking at this knowing, okay, they've gone up and gotten a proven driver from the national level with what you've done, but, you know, nobody was really sure how this little team would react, and I think you've at least proven that they've got the speed, the resources to be able to go out and be competitive, win races. I mean, talk a little bit about what it's been like kind of helping to guide that program along in the starts that you've been in the car this year, because it's really been a lot of fun for us to watch.
Yeah, no, Carlos, Lyra, and everyone over there, you know, and then his son Michael, they're just great people, you know, and it's been a lot of fun to work with them. It's just a great group of guys that love racing, and you know, when you have that combination, you know, it makes it really fun, you know, just being at the racetrack together. It just makes the whole process cool. And then you add winning on top of that, and it makes just for a great combination. You know, my crew chief, Teddy Brown, worked with him actually when I ran in ARCA Series in 2011. So it's been cool to go back and work with him. And, you know, we have some notes from working with each other before. So it made that process a little easier, you know, and have a lot of respect for him. And, you know, he's obviously done a great job in giving me fast race cars. So, you know, I think that, like you said, you know, they were a little bit of an unproven race team, and you know, Carlos has a great relationship with Jack Roush, and so that's kind of how that whole deal started. And so it was just an opportunity for me to get some more seat time, help me over in the Xfinity Series side, and you know, hopefully I could bring some just a little bit of experience and help be able to get good feedback and help grow their program. And so I think it's been a great deal for everyone, and looking forward to doing some more stuff with them.
I was going to ask you that next question. Are there plans for any more races this season with that team?
Yeah, we've had Kansas on the schedule for a while. When we announced the Kentucky race, we announced that we're going to run Kansas as well. So here in a couple weeks, I'll run for Lyra again there. And then after that, there's no set plans, but I mean, I'm sure we'll do some more stuff together. It's like I said, it's a lot of fun, and we're all having fun doing it. And I think that as long as we continue to have fun, we'll keep working together. And so we'll kind of just go see what happens at Kansas and go from there.
Certainly has been successful so far. Let's switch gears a little bit, Ryan. I want to talk about your situation with Lilly, and tell us a little bit about your background and how that relates to your sponsor, and also talk about, I know that both you and Chris Buescher are representing this weekend, and I know that's pretty cool, both for the sponsor and for you guys as well.
Yeah. So, obviously working with Lilly Diabetes the last 2 years, and then going into our third year next year, it's just been an amazing relationship, and having American Diabetes Association on board. They're two organizations that have been a part of my life since I was diagnosed with diabetes back in 2011. And, it's just been really cool to see that, the passion that they have for people living with this disease. And this program is all about making a difference in people's lives living with diabetes, show them that they can go out and do whatever they want. And then also hopefully spread awareness and contribute to finding a cure, by raising money for American Diabetes Association. So it's just been a great program, something that we all have a lot of pride in, and it's been really cool to see it grow. And then, like you said, having Chris, Chris is an extension for winning championship this year in the Xfinity Series. And, he's had a lot of success at Dover. So to see that, we're going to have two Lilly Diabetes cars at Dover is just really exciting. I think that it's going to add a lot of exposure for Lilly, which is always cool. And then hopefully we can get a 1-2 Lilly Diabetes finish this week here in Dover.
I know that would be a big bright spot for you guys, Ryan. And, I know you've talked in bits and pieces about this before, but, after the diagnosis in 2011 and all the work you put into being able to get back in the race car and ultimately ascend to the level you have in the NASCAR National Series levels now in the Xfinity Series, I mean, did you picture yourself shortly after the diagnosis eventually being at the spot you're in right now, having a solid season in the Xfinity car, having some ARCA wins? I mean, having won at Daytona, was any of that even a potential reality 3 or 4 years ago when this was all getting started?
Definitely not at first. When I first got diagnosed, and they told me they probably told me I would never race again. So initially I thought it was a career ender, and that none of it was going to be a possibility. And then shortly after finding my doctor out in California, and she really turned it around and gave me the confidence that we're going to get you back in a race car, and we're going to do it, and you're not only are you going to compete, but you're going to compete the best of your abilities. We're not going to let diabetes hold you back. I really that was really cool. And then from there, it was just about being a race car driver again. It wasn't being a race car driver with diabetes. It was just being a race car driver, and then, oh, by the way, I have diabetes. And then since then, I obviously getting involved with the American Diabetes Association and trying to give back and spread a positive message. I never thought that I'd be an ambassador like I am for two organizations like amazing organizations like Lilly Diabetes and American Diabetes Association. So, and then obviously having some success in the Xfinity Series and ARCA Series has been really cool, and it's just been an opportunity to be able to stand in victory lane and talk about overcoming some of those challenges, and it's just been a really great year. And that's also been great for me personally, just to think back, to being diagnosed and how hard it was to overcome all that and be where I am today. It's been something that everyone that's been a part of it's been really proud of.
Ryan, can you talk about, in a big picture sense, for those who I know a lot of people are probably wondering, with the diagnosis, what does that change in terms of, how do you approach a race day or a race weekend, or what are the things that you may have to do differently than, those who don't have that situation?
Yeah, it's definitely changed a few things for me. I think diet and exercise and just, overall just, it's made me a better athlete. But also too, I wake up every day and have to manage my diabetes. And so race day isn't a whole lot different. You know, I wake up and self-manage my diabetes, and there's a few things that are different on race days, and you know, I'm probably paying a little more attention, and you know, just being a little bit more, I guess, careful about everything as far as my management goes. But you know, inside the race car, we have a couple things. I have a hydration system that has a drink high in glucose in case I was to have a low blood sugar. There's a wireless monitor inside my race car that helps me manage it allows me to monitor my blood sugar levels throughout the entire race. And then kind of a worst case scenario, and this hasn't had to happen yet, but it is a safety net that we have in place. There's a guy training on pit crew to actually give me an insulin injection, do my fire suit during a pit stop, if need be. So those are probably the three main things that are different, you know, I guess, from those that aren't racing with diabetes.
Ryan, just want to go back to Saturday for a minute in the ARCA race. You raced around Austin Cindric, Kyle Weatherman. I know what you and I talked about that. I mean, what did you think of those two drivers, those up and coming drivers here that are coming up through the sport and trying to make a name for themselves?
I think they're just amazing young talents. You know, I mean, I've known both Austin and Kyle for a little while and been around them both, and you know, I mean, I think they're great race car drivers and just overall good kids. You know, I mean, love racing, and it's cool to see them, you know, them having success in the ARCA series. And Austin had a really fast race car, and stuck to him, cut the tire down. You know, I mean, I was glad to win, but you know, we were having a really good race before that, and so that's what I could see. But you know, I think they're both really good kids, and they'll go a long way in the sport.
I want to give you a two-parter, Ryan, before we cut you loose tonight. And actually, they kind of tie together a little bit. Part one of my question is, obviously, with all the work you've done with the American Diabetes Association with Lily, I'm curious if you've gotten to cross over at all and have any interaction, do any work with Charlie Kimball, who's on the IndyCar side. And then, you know, definitely want to encourage fans as well, if there's any way how they can get involved with Lily and with all that's going on with ADA.
Yeah. So your first question, you know, Charlie and I actually have the same doctor, and you know, we've seen each other at a lot of different events and stuff. I have a tremendous amount of respect for him, what he's doing over on the IndyCar side, and we've been at a few events together. Our schedules don't line up all that well, but you know, we've definitely done some stuff together, and he's just a great guy, and I have a lot of respect for what he's doing. And then, yeah, I mean, if fans want to learn how to get more involved or learn more about Drive to Stop Diabetes, just go to drive2stopdiabetes.org, and it has a lot of information about our program and how they can get involved, and I know we'd really appreciate that.
And I know Roush Fenway's done a lot for you guys as well. It's been a fun program to watch, Ryan. Anybody else from that side you need to thank?
No, just thanks for having me on, guys. It was great chatting with you.
And we appreciate it as well. That's Ryan Reed, and we'll wish him the best of luck as we hopefully get the NASCAR Xfinity Series race this weekend at Dover International Speedway in the books, and you can catch the number 16 Ford on track this weekend. We're going to be around the turn with some New England motorsports conversation in just a moment. Kyle Souza joins us after this break. You're listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show here on PMN, the Performance Motorsports Network.
Do you love the sound of high revving motors and the smell of burning rubber? Do you want to get your car sideways right at the ragged edge of control? If you've always wanted to try drifting or learn to improve your drifting skills, Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier motorsports facility, has the expert instructors and the specialized track to teach you how to drift and the skills necessary to drift competitively. From skid pad to open sessions, Summit Point Motorsports Park has the safe and open environment that allows drifters of all skill levels, new to intermediate, to get sideways and smoking. With a focus on safety and the skill set necessary to drift competitively, Summit Point Motorsports Park's Drift Nirvana is just the thing for you. Call for your reservation today, 304-725-8444. Or for more information, go online, summitpoint-raceway.com, or you can email them at office@bsrinc.com. Drift Nirvana, getting you sideways the right way.
A boy born in Joplin, Missouri was fascinated by anything with wheels and a motor. The odds of him going on to fascinate millions with his talent? 1 in 260,000. The odds of this born racer having 157 career top 10 finishes in NASCAR? 1 in 125 billion. But every driver seeks the pinnacle of their achievements. The odds of him winning both the Daytona 500 and the Brickyard 400 in the same year, 1 in 195 million. The odds of a child being diagnosed with autism, 1 in 68. I'm NASCAR driver Jamie McMurray, and my niece has autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Performance Motorsports Network, your authority on motorsports of all types. Be listening for the most accurate and up-to-the-minute coverage of every motorsports activity that you enjoy on a daily basis. Be it NASCAR, be it IRL, be it Formula One, be it drag racing, be it dirt track, off-road, props, hulls, whatever. We are your source for motorsport. Performance Motorsports Network. Let's go back to steel and aluminum stock cars and supplying the SRIs with Race Chaser Online Senior Editor Tom Baker and the Speed 77 radio cast.
Steel,
what?
That was just awful.
Well, that's close enough. I don't care.
If I could mimic an explosion right there, I would have just done it.
You think after all this time you could get it right, wouldn't you? Welcome back to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show. We call it Thursday Night Thunder here on the Performance Motorsports Network. Tom Baker, Jacob Seelman, and Kyle Magda, all of us from RaceChaserOnline.com. Today's racing news, yesterday's racing history, all kinds of unique content, and Kyle Souza joining us as well, our New England correspondent. And Kyle actually spent last weekend covering all that went on at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. And Kyle, I know you had a great time there, and boy, what a busy weekend you had with everything that was going on up there.
Yeah, Tom. Hey, everybody. Glad to be back on the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show. It was a very interesting weekend, Tom. We started off Saturday with Cup practice. We went into the Camping World Truck Series race. We had some open wheel modified action. Then we went back to full fender New England style action with the American Canadian Tour. We had, I think at least I had, and I think the race fans that were in the grandstands, and it was pretty packed for Saturday with 3 races and some practice sessions. The race fans had a phenomenal time up at Loudon. There were so many different racing divisions and so much intense action, Tom, and it was just great. New England is really the place that these NASCAR guys like coming, especially on the tour, Jacob.
Yeah, and speaking of the tour, let's just get right into the nitty-gritty dirty of what happened during the FW Web 100, because nobody's talking about the first 99 laps, Kyle, but everybody's talking about the last one. We're going to get to talk about it with the guy who won the race here in a few minutes, but, you just got to see a replay of the last lap, bump and run and multi-car crash again. Ryan Preece was leading. Doug Coby didn't like that. Doug Coby took it away, and the explanation that we got afterwards, and you said you were chuckling at pretty heavily, modifieds happened. I could agree with that all day, every day.
Yeah, Jacob, it was, and if you haven't seen the broadcast on NBCSN, it is going to re-air tomorrow at 12:30 on NBCSN. So put your DVR, set it. And I went back, Jacob, in the 45 minutes that I just sat here and watched the race and watched the end, and I compared. I'm going to be interesting to talk to Doug about this coming up in a little bit. I compared what Preece's car looked like through the first and second turn for much of the event to the last lap. And the more replays I've watched, and the race did profile him a lot when he was out front, the 3 or 4 laps under the green before that, Preece's car was not doing that. The last lap, it did jack up in the center of the corner. If you continuously watch the whole race based on that lap, Jacob, and again, just my opinion, he did slow down more in that corner than he had the whole race. Now, is that because the car was tight? Is that because he was trying the old brake check move to try and get Doug to lip? Because you do know when you hit the end of the back straightaway at Loudon, whoever is in second, Jacob, is in prime position to go back and win this race with a dive bomb move in turn 3.
Yeah, oh gosh. I mean, and it's a move, Kyle, that I think the toughest part about this is we could sit here and debate who was right and who was wrong for the next 2 hours and never get anywhere. Because like Doug said in his post-race interview, and like I've come to agree with over the last couple of days, Ryan may have slowed down a little bit. Doug may have sailed it in a little hard, but the bottom line is they came together. And Kyle, as you can attest for having seen as many of these New Hampshire Tour races over the past 5-6 years or so, bumping is going to happen. I mean, these cars draft because they have restrictor plates on the cars to keep them from going too fast around this New Hampshire Motor Speedway. So they're going to draft, they're going to bump draft, and the potential for this exists at just about every corner. It just so happened it happened on the last lap racing for the win.
Yeah, and I guess, Jacob, the thing that kind of really struck me going back and watching the replay again, and don't forget, I watched this race live from pit road on Saturday afternoon. So you get a different perspective from the TV versus watching it down on pit road or even in the grandstand. I've talked to people that were in the grandstand that tell me Priest did nothing different. He drove in that corner the same way he had all day. You watch the TV cameras, it could go either way, I guess. You watch it on pit road, it looks like a racing deal. The more unfortunate thing about this, Jacob, as it scrolls across my TV screen again here in front of me, is the guys that were caught up in this that had absolutely nothing to do with it. So the Woody Pitcat, the Todd Zegedy, who in front of me now is riding the outside wall in turn 2. Woody Pitcat, that Jerry Cook tribute paint scheme, Teddy Christopher. These guys had nothing to do with this, but again, Jacob, Doug was right. In this circumstance, modifieds happen. These guys are so tightly packed, and it almost reminded me in ways of a wreck at Daytona or Talladega, where the leader gets hit, spun out in front of the field. Everybody else is so close together and so banging with each other, they have nowhere else to go except right into the other person in front of them.
Exactly, and this has really changed the complexion of the championship now. Doug was almost 30 points behind coming into the race, Kyle. He leaves Loudon, he's 11 points back. The problem with that is he leaves Loudon, and everybody else is saying that Doug Coby's not going to finish another event all year.
Well, and you know what, Jacob? It comes to a point now, and you look at the point standings, Pitcat up by 8, Coby, I believe offhand, I don't have it in front of me, but I believe 11 back in third. So what really comes now to the front of this is the weather at Stafford this weekend. Mother Nature is really going to hit New England with a force on Saturday, which is probably, in a way, and this may be speculation in some people's mind, but this is going to cancel qualifying for Sunday's Spring Sizzler. And Sunday's forecast is showing that we could be able to race. So let us look at it this way. Your front row will be Woody Pitcat and Ryan Preece and Doug Coby third. I do not think Ryan Preece is going to let Doug Coby by on Sunday afternoon, Jacob.
I was gonna mention the weather forecast because that's another. We talked at the top of the show about all the problems that Dover's going to have or anticipated to have, and all the short track races from Virginia South that are already getting canceled for this weekend because of the forecast. But there again, Stafford, another one of those shows that depending on what happens, Kuza, we could certainly have an issue for qualifying. And yeah, I just have to wonder if Doug Coby's going to be treated very well on the track by some of his competitors. But you know what? How cool is that? This is good old-fashioned modified racing, bump and run, and don't take any prisoners. Doug Coby has willingly put the black hat on and has gone out and said, look, if you're going to win this championship, you're going through me. And he's basically put himself in the position where there's probably a couple of other guys that are going to be a little bit reluctant to play nice with him.
And Tom, I think the other thing is after Stafford, if Doug is within distance, Doug has been absolutely dominant in that LFR chassis at Thompson.
I think the word is perfect, Souza.
Yeah, I attended two out of those 3 races that have been run at Thompson this year. That car rolled through the center of the corner and had more forward bite up off the corner than I think I've ever seen a modified have at Thompson. That car is stuck to Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park. Now, I do take into consideration, however, Jacob, that this race is going to be a little bit different weather conditions than even we saw back at the Icebreaker. So it's going to be a little bit colder, a little bit different handling. Does it play into Priest's favor? Does it play into Pitcat's favor? I guarantee you, if Kobe and Priest and Pitcat are all separated by just a few points going down to the wire at Thompson, it's going to be a very, very interesting final few laps, Jacob. Anything can happen, and I think the bumper may be used off the 6th car if it needs to be.
You think? I mean, let's stop and think about this. And Kuza, you can attest, Ryan Preece is not afraid to use the Nerf bar. He never has been, never will be.
No, Ryan's obviously going to do everything he can to win the championship cleanly. I do believe that. I do not think Ryan's going to go out there these next 2 weeks and make it a point to take Doug out, because what's that going to do? Most likely, and they say this in racing, you take one other person out on purpose, you're going to take your own car out, and then their Pitcat is going to just walk away with it. I personally do think that Pitcat is in the driver's seat here, Jacob. He has got a slight advantage right now over Priest and Kobe, who obviously are not on the same page. From what I understand, and we'll ask Doug this coming up here in about 10 minutes, I don't even know if they've talked since the Loudon incident, and they are pretty good of friends off the track. These two do joke with each other a lot, and I really don't even think they've picked up the phone or even had a text conversation. But, I mean, that's something we can ask Doug here in a little bit. Pitcat's in the driver's seat right now. He won at Stafford earlier this year at the opener, Jacob, and I don't see any way right now that Woody feels bad about this. He's got to be on the aggressive, get to the front, try and lead as many laps as he can. Those extra bonus points could make the difference when it comes down to Thompson in a couple weeks.
It may well, and the best part about it is we get to hear exactly what Doug Kobe thinks about our questions, because we're going to talk with him. More news, notes, and reactions from New Hampshire Motor Speedway. After this, we'll talk with Doug Kobe, winner of the FW Web 100, when we return. You're listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show here on the Performance Motorsports Network, the voice of motorsports.
You own a performance car and you know how to drive, but you want to learn real performance driving. Well, Bunky, get that car off the street and onto the track. Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier road racing facility, located just over an hour from D.C. in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, is the place to go. And you'll find that Friday at the Track is going to give you what you need. For less than a monthly car payment, you can attend this regularly scheduled one-day instructional event in your street car on one of Summit Point's 3 world-class road racing circuits. You'll receive classroom instruction, skid pad instruction in their cars, including front and rear skid control, and 4 20-minute in-your-car instructional sessions from a professional instructor. Have fun, go fast, and really learn how to drive. Call 304-725-8444 for class schedules and details. That's 304-725-8444. Friday at the Track at Summit Point Motorsports Park.
Every 30 minutes, another innocent person is killed due to a drunk driver.
My best friend. My brother. My poor grandchild.
My sister.
My father.
My husband.
My mom. My mommy.
Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I've built my life around you.
Stop these tragedies before they happen. Don't drink and drive.
The Performance Motorsports Network is a compilation of shows about motorsports. From technical to controversial to just fun, everything you like about racing and gearhead stuff is right here on one internet channel. The Performance Motorsports Network. Tell your friends about it.
Hi, I'm Reed Sorensen. Racing has been a part of me and my family for as long as I can remember. I had to make tough choices early on to get to the top. It took hard work and dedication, but it's those tough choices that helped me prepare for challenges I would face as a cup driver. Make the right choices today and be ready for the challenges tomorrow. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Air Force.
Now, back to more with Tom and the Speed 77 radio crew. It's the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Welcome back to tonight's program. You're listening to Thursday Night Thunder, otherwise known as the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show here on the Performance Motorsports Network. Tom Baker, Jacob Seelman, Kyle Magda, and Kyle Souza, all from RaceChaserOnline.com, with you on this Thursday night. And Kyle Souza, we've been talking extensively about the modified race that happened this past weekend at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, which you were in attendance for, and in attendance for the entire weekend, covering all of that for us on Race Chaser Online and the Performance Motorsports Network. But a lot more stuff going on just other than the controversial finish to the modified race. What's up in New England?
Well, Tom, some unfortunate news coming down today from the Seekonk Speedway. Mother Nature, of course, we just talked about Mother Nature, but she's playing havoc.
Talk about it a lot more in the next few days, too.
Yeah, she's playing havoc with the Action Track of the East. So the Seekonk Speedway has announced that they're rescheduling the annual DAV Fall Classic that was scheduled for tomorrow and Saturday. It is now rescheduled for October 16th and 17th. So that's going to be headlined by a $5,000 to win Pro Stock Super Late Model NASCAR Wheel and All-American Series main event, the Late Model Sports Trucks and Street Stocks. We will also have the Fast Friday divisions with the next Pit Stop Legends headlining that. So that's coming up October 16th and 17th. And yes, some contrary belief, that is the same weekend as the World Series of Speedway Racing at the Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park. Unfortunately, the track had no other choice, with Mother Nature doing what it did. Next weekend is not an option. That was the only option left instead of canceling it completely, and it ends up working perfectly, ladies and gentlemen, because that Saturday you can visit the Action Track of the East and watch Pro Stocks battle for $5,000, and then Sunday you can head to Thompson and watch the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour conclude their season. Stafford is also scheduled to run the Napa Fall Final this weekend. They are still a go. At this point, they have not made a decision to either cancel or reschedule that event, Tom. So that is still a go at this point. They will crown their SK Modified champion as well as part of the 2015 NASCAR Home Tracks Series. Tom, do want to give a quick mention to national points competitor Keith Rocco, finished 5th. Representing New England Strong, a weekly runner at the Stafford and Waterford Speed Bowls, and he also was a weekly runner at the Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park. When they did that, Ryan Preece came up 7th in the Division I standings for 2015, and Rowan Pennick, surprising a lot of people, finishing 12th. Jacob Rowan's been struggling a little bit on the tour, but his SK success, he's actually in the lead now of the SK point standings, Jacob, at Thompson. Pennick is one of those guys that I think is very underrated, and even though his equipment isn't 100% there on the tour, he is a heck of a race car driver.
He is a heck of a wheelman, and he's got a couple of tour wins before. I think at least one at Thompson during the World Series was one of those shock the world sort of moments back 3 or 4 years ago, Kyle. But, again, just one of those guys that, like you said, does not get enough credit at all for the job he is able to do up there in New England. And, definitely somebody that if I think if he could ever get a full-time top tier seat instead of running their own equipment, he could be scary.
Yeah, I definitely agree. He's been one of those people that are hanging around, trying to find his way into a bigger ride. And unfortunately for Rowan, his SK career has been plagued by winning a lot of races in the season, coming down to the end, and not finishing the deal. But he and Ryan Preece are going to go at it. Keith Rocco is in the middle of that fight as well for the Stafford SK Championship. Don't forget that they do also have their weekly divisions, their legend cars, their weight models. All their divisions are going to be on hand at the Napa Fall Final. Of course, Mother Nature pending this weekend, Jacob. Also going on up here in New England coming up in the next couple of weeks. We've got the Thompson Speedway World Series, as aforementioned. The champions of the Valenti Modified Racing Series, the NEMA Midgets, and the American Canadian Tour will all be crowned that weekend. And then Sunday, we will crown the champions of the Thompson Speedway, and we will also crown the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour champion on that Sunday. Coming up October 24th and 25th, the Beamers 150 and the Beamers Big Show Weekend, 150 lap for the SK and Granite State Pro Stock, Jacob, and 235 lap features for the Tri-Track Open Modified Series comes together in the middle of a 65 lap open competition, open modified style feature to close out the New England racing season there on October 25th.
All right, let's be honest here for a second. Since you talked about the World Series and talked about the Tour Championship, we know there's 3 guys that are in realistic contention right now. So my question for you is, since we've been talking about in the last segment, do you feel like there's a realistic possibility Doug Coby wins this championship? What's it going to take?
Jacob, I honestly have a very slim chance of him coming away with this championship, and here's why. I think even Woody Pitkat was quoted after the race saying that was pretty ridiculous what happened on the final lap there. And I talked to Doug after the race, and you can go back on Race Chaser Online and look at the audio recap that I put up from Loudon last Saturday. So Doug says after the race in the media center that if he wanted to wreck Ryan, he would have done it before that. Well, on the last lap of the race, Jacob, there's two hindsights to this. And I'm not a driver. I've never been on the racetrack, and I've never seen how these cars react from behind the wheel. But does Priest's car all of a sudden slow up? And what position does that put Doug in when he's already getting back in the gas? Is it just an unfortunate racing deal? The other side of that is Doug says, if I was going to wreck him, I would have done it earlier. Well, Jacob, honestly, timing-wise, there's no better time to wreck Ryan Preece. The final lap of the race, you know that most other cars are going to make it back to the start-finish line. So if you wanted to do it right, if you're going to wreck him and you wanted to do it right, which is a terrible thing to say, Jacob. Actually, Tom, I'll throw it to you. What do you think? I mean, if this was really going to happen and he thought this out, this is actually a genius move towards the championship because he picked up half the gap.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure I buy that. I've never been much of a tin hat type of person in these situations, but it's fun to talk about. Look, I just, again, I'll go back to what I said earlier. This is good old-fashioned short-track racing. It's coming down to the nitty-gritty. You can like or dislike the move, and I can like or dislike the move. I've never been a big fan of using the bumper to win a race because that, to me, that doesn't take any talent whatsoever. Anybody can get in the car and go out and blast people out of the way. But I'm not so sure that that's really all there was to the story. And you know what? It's the modifieds have good, strong front bumpers for a reason. And this isn't the first time, and it won't be the last time. And for us, look at how much time we've spent talking about this, Kyle Souza, just in this segment alone, and how much other attention has been paid to this. So you know what? It's great for us in the media, and it sets up one whale of a last couple of races going into Stafford, hopefully this weekend, and Thompson in a couple of weeks to close this out. I mean, you've got bad guy, good guys. And none of these guys are going to give an inch. Regardless of what anybody says, none of these guys are going to give an inch over the next two races. You can't. You got to get out front, lead the most laps, and win the race if you want to ensure yourself with a chance to win the championship.
And I think the thing that really comes into play here is who are going to be the spoilers in this championship battle. Chase Dowling has really, really impressed.
He has.
This tour. Doug Dunleavy backing him with the Dunleavy's Truck and Trailer Repair number 9. He has terribly surprised people. And people up here in New England are in complete shock that he is able to do this right now as a rookie contender on this tour. Ronnie Williams, the Stafford Speedway SK Modified regular that's won various races this season, is also going to be in competition at Stafford this weekend. He's going to make his Wheel and Modified Tour debut. This tour has a good mix of young and veteran talent. I wrote a column about this a little bit ago on Race Chaser Online. In the midst of it, I talked about guys like Teddy Christopher and Todd Zegedy going wheel to wheel, nerf bar to nerf bar with these guys like Dowling, Max Zackham, even Woody Pitcat is still at a young age, and even Ryan Preece. These guys are still at a young age. They've got a lot of career ahead of them. And, of course, Jacob, for Ryan Preece, he's got bigger and better things than the Wheel and Modified Tour coming his way, I think, much quicker than people imagine. He was in the Sprint Cup Series race at Loudon. This could be not his farewell tour, but this could be one of his final seasons on NASCAR's Wheel and Modified Tour because he's going on to something that's going to emerge into something fantastic here in the next couple of years.
I think we really hope so. The question is going to be, it's about funding at this point for Ryan Preece. It's about the money being there for him to be able to take that next step, Kyle, because it's one of those things where we all so badly want to see him make the jump. We know he's got the talent. We know he's prepared for this, but in a sponsor-driven age of this sport, it's not been easy. I think he did a solid job in his debut with Tommy Baldwin Racing on Sunday afternoon at Loudon. He kept the car out of trouble. He kept it clean. He made laps. He didn't get in anybody's way. And at the end of the day, he brought home a car that arguably looked about without a scratch, Kyle. It was very impressive.
Yeah, and Jacob, we're walking around the garage area Sunday morning and watching him go about what the Cup drivers do every week, going through the drivers' meeting, listening to Steve O'Donnell, and then getting in the race car before the race. He was so pumped up. I think it was the most I've ever seen Ryan pumped up. He went out there on Sunday, and again, he went out there with basically cold turkey. This was his first ever real race in a Cup car. He had ran, I want to say, somewhere around 80 laps on the track before Sunday morning. He gets in the car, running 38th to 40th at the start. And then at one point, I'm out on pit road, Jacob, watching the race, and I see him going wheel to wheel with Jeff Gordon. And it's almost to me like, is this a foreshadowing of what's ahead? Remember Richard Petty's last race? Jeff Gordon's in. This is Jeff Gordon's last race at Loudon. Ryan Preece is in it. Is this coming to a point at now where Ryan is going to be the next generation? And it may be a stretch at this point because we haven't really seen him emerge right now, but this kid really can drive, Jacob, and if he gets put in the right equipment, I'm confident, very, very confident, that he could get out to the front of the field in an Xfinity or a truck race with good equipment right now.
Yeah, I am too, and I really hope that we do get to see that, Kyle, because I think that he deserves that much. He deserves a shot. So we'll be waiting to see. I know everybody up there in the Northeast, it may not be New England, Kyle, but everybody's a little bit excited that this weekend, this weekend at Dover is the last big weekend of racing for the Northeast this season as far as national tours go. So everybody's a little amped up. I know it's a little far for you, but hey, it's still something. If it doesn't rain, of course.
Yeah, hopefully Mother Nature is able to cooperate at Stafford this weekend, Jacob. And for the racing fan in me, I hope it cooperates so we can really see who's got the fastest car on Saturday and start this race in the front. I honestly would hate to see this race lined up by points because I do think it's going to cause chaos in the front of that pack at the start of the event. And we could see all three championship competitors out of the race in the early going if, brighter heads don't come alive.
I think the saying that you're looking for is cooler heads prevail, and we're certainly hoping that's the case. Something like that. Kyle, always a pleasure having you on, and we'll look forward now that we've got some things situated to having you on every Thursday night once again here on the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show, talking New England motorsports, my friend.
Well, hope so. Hope that we can come back on next Thursday and recap Stafford and get out to your local home track, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a final couple weeks in the final month before Mother Nature keeps us stacking with winter.
Rolling along. When we come back, we're going to move to the ARCA Racing Series once again, talk with the runner-up to Ryan Reed's victory. Travis Braden joins the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show Around the Turn here on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Parents, your son or daughter has had their license for a while now, but you want to make sure they're prepared for any situation they may face on the road. High school driver's ed doesn't teach them to drive defensively. They need to be prepared for any highway emergency. For less than a month's insurance, and a whole lot less, BSR instructors at Summit Point Motorsports Park in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, will teach your son or daughter how to respond instantly and positively to unexpected situations on the road. BSR's specialized accident avoidance training teaches swerve to avoid maneuvers at highway speed, ocular driving, which focuses driving attention on ways to avoid accidents, vehicle dynamics and feedback, skid control and skid recovery, threshold braking on straights and progressive braking on curves, and off-road recovery techniques. This is stuff driver's ed simply doesn't teach. So call BSR today, 304-725-8444. Give your kid the skill set needed to drive safely and responsibly on the highway. That's 304-725-8444.
You hear that? That's the sound of America's only sports car. That's right, it's a Corvette. But not just any Corvette. It's your Corvette. It's that who cares if there's traffic part of your day. And this can be you when you come to Cooper Corvettes. With 60 years of Corvettes to choose from, there's always a Corvette in your budget. And they'll service any Corvette you bring in. Cooper Corvettes on Route 1 just north of Quantico and Triangle. Call, click, or visit CooperCorvettes.com.
We're growing like crazy and need account reps who know their way around agencies, the internet, and social media. Got connections? Or do you know how to get to the decision makers? Are you fearless? We need you. Internet radio, or as we call it, wireless mobile radio, is rapidly becoming the place to be with almost limitless income potential. So contact us to get involved with the fastest growing professionally produced group of internet radio stations in the world. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444. That's 717-749-0444. Or you can email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. You want to ask for Sue.
Hi, this is John Ondrasik of Five for Fighting, here for RAD, the entertainment industry's voice for road safety. You know, style is a personal thing, and your lifestyle is your business. But if you take it on the road, it becomes everybody's business. So please, plan ahead, designate before you celebrate. Friends, don't let friends drive drunk.
A public service announcement brought to you by RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
The Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show continues now on the Performance Motorsports Network. And here's your host, Tom Baker.
Welcome back to tonight's Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show here on PMN. Tom Baker, Jacob Seelman, and Kyle Magda with you now. All of us from RaceChaserOnline.com, where you can find updated news from the world of motorsports, both local and regional, as well as national and even international, as well as a lot of unique content, audio, video, all kinds of cool stuff. And of course, we get together a couple of times a week here on PMN, have some fun, talk racing with all of you. And joining us on the program here now is a young man who I think we may have had on one time before a while back.
It's his debut.
Okay, I couldn't remember if we'd had Travis on before or not, but the point I was going to make, it's been a good while if we have. And he's certainly worthy, because what an amazing run, Travis Brayton, you just came off of. I don't think anyone could have seen that coming. I wonder if you even saw a performance like that coming.
Well, I think you're pretty much right, except for, the part of me. I think myself and our whole team thought that we could definitely do what we did. Which, of course, there's so many variables that play into it, but we knew if it went well, which it did, we could do that. So, but that was what was exciting, was that we knew, we would be a dark horse and, a question mark in everybody's mind. So it was so much fun to do what we did, almost win the race. We really probably should have won the race. A little bit of inexperience on my part probably cost us the race at the end, but I still think every goal we set out to accomplish has been reached.
Well, I would say so, Travis, and definitely glad to have you on the program. We documented it pretty well, how big it was when you made the ARCA debut at Lucas Oil at the end of July and won the race, and then you come into your first super speedway start and you almost win the race. I want to go kind of in sequence here for a minute and circle back to that Lucas Oil race for just a minute. I mean, I know you being a short track guy, you've turned a lot of laps around Lucas Oil, and I'm sure that helped you a little bit. But when you finally had finished the charge back on the fresher tires, past William Byron for the lead and ultimately the win, and then you get to the checkered flag, for you, how big of a moment was that, knowing, okay, we made it, we did it here?
I think definitely, at least until last weekend in Kentucky, that was the biggest single moment of my career as a driver. Just because, that's so hard to do, and especially the way we have to do it because of our budget and the help that we have. It was just really, really special. When we go racing our late model, we have everything we need. We have all the help we ever need. We know what we're doing very well, and so we should do well. But when you go to a race like that, it's a lot more difficult. We don't know exactly what we're doing yet, and so that was really the cool part, was to go there and compete, win the race the way we had to do it. Not just the fact that we did it, but the way we had to do it.
And I like that answer. So you take the momentum from Lucas Oil, go to Kentucky. Okay, this is a big change. It's the first 1.5 mile race for this program, and I think I heard you say at one point during the prep time for what ended up being Saturday afternoon's race that, you guys knew you had speed, but you weren't 100% sure where it was going to stack up to everybody else during the race. And then we see you rocket to the front and kind of sit in the top 5 for most of this race and take advantage of some of the problems for a few of the other guys. And once Austin Cindric loses that tire, here you and Ryan Reed are sitting battling for the win. I mean, what was that like all of a sudden with 15, 20 laps to go when Cindric goes away and here you are just 2 or 3 car lengths off the lead at that point?
Yeah, I mean, it was really neat. I will say, I stayed pretty calm throughout because, I really knew what we had. There was a 10, 12 lap run before that last caution that we came from like 12th or whatever up to, I think it was 7th. And so I kind of knew where we stacked up when we restarted there. And I knew that really our biggest issue was the 15 car behind us with 4 fresh tires that nobody else had. And he kind of helped us out, and he smacked the wall and hurt himself. So when he did that, it was kind of like, okay, now it's just how much do I have enough time? And, I really felt like we did. And then, like I said, I think at the end of the race when I got pretty close to Ryan there, it was like 7, 8 laps to go. And really, as you saw in the broadcast, we were faster every lap. But, I think the defining, factor in what cost us to win, why we couldn't pass them was just, honestly, a little bit of lack of experience on my part when it comes to the aerodynamics and just what happens when you get up close to one of these cars, you're the guy behind them. And so I did my best. I mean, I knew that once I got close enough, I needed to stay away from his tire tracks so that I wouldn't lose that, that downforce and everything. But I just mistimed it a little bit when I finally went to the bottom, and, I just stalled myself out, and that was kind of it. And, there was more to it than that. I mean, we were already getting kind of tight. Our car was a little bit too tight on the long run. And so, as we got closer to Ryan, the difference in speed, how much faster we were compared to his car was getting smaller and smaller. And then when you add in the effect of the air, it just diminished everything. But, it was still great. I think I learned more than I would have if I would have somehow pulled off the win or if he would have made a mistake. I think I learned because I'll never forget finishing second in that race. So I'll always remember what I did wrong or what I could have done better, I guess. And, when you've only raced in one of these races and you've already learned that much, you really can't ask for much more.
Now, I know you want to ask for much more, though, so that brings up this question. Was the run at Kentucky good enough that it's allowing you guys to look at doing more or even looking at doing more ahead towards next year? Or is it one of those where you've got it in the back pocket, but maybe the doors aren't quite where they need to be for the program to keep going forward? I mean, have you guys thought about being able to do more of this for next year, or is it going to take some more funding, some more pieces getting in place?
I think it's definitely been our goal. There's definitely no funding in place 100% at this point, but there's a lot of potential. And, I really think there's a few things I really can't really mention at this point, but there's, some stuff you'll see happen in the next couple of months that we're definitely going to get going for us. And, there's a lot of buzz there. There's a lot of things going on, a lot of people that want to get involved, a lot of people that saw proof now that we'll be able to do what we say we can, what we're going to do when we go to these races. And, it's really kind of amazing because we can go, we're using our own equipment. We can go racing for so much cheaper than everybody else at the racetrack, and we go there, and so far we've beat them every time, except for one car. But so that says so much. And then our sponsors, we don't have the enormous size sponsors that we, of course, everybody's looking for and really needs. But, because of the way we were able to do it, we don't necessarily need however many millions of dollars that some of these guys are looking for. So that opens up a lot of doors for us. It's kind of like a way to brag about our success over the winter. And I think you'll see some pretty interesting things. I think our goal is to run, no doubt, some more ARC races next year. And I can't even roll out another race this year, honestly. But no doubt we have some good equipment sitting there ready to go. And, we're looking definitely to make next year an even bigger year than this year. So we'll see what happens.
Travis, you mentioned that about possibly running another race this year. I know in the press conference, you said you were 90%. There was a chance of 90% you might be running Kansas. I mean, I just want you to talk about that a little bit. What do you think of the track that you've seen on television? I mean, what do you think of the place? They redid the track a few years ago, and ARCA's run there every year since. What do you think of that track?
I think it's definitely really as far as getting around there by yourself, it's going to be easier than Kentucky. It's fresher asphalt, more grip, more speed. Everything is, and it's smoother. So everything is really going to be a little bit easier if we go to Kansas as far as driving the car. But it's just like anything when you narrow up the difference in cars and drivers in racing, it makes it sometimes more difficult to win the race because it's harder to pass. It's harder to be faster than the next guy. It actually makes things harder. But I think it looks like a neat little place. There's a lot more on throttle time there than at Kentucky. It seems like, you're closer to being wide open, probably not using any brakes, whereas we were using really a considerable amount of brakes at Kentucky. So I think it's pretty neat. I think it'd be another cool deal for me to go. Now I've done a mile and a half that's bumpy, worn out, lack of grip in the daytime, and then go out to Kansas where it's smooth, grippy. Looks like if it's not raining, it'll probably be pretty chilly, and it's a night race. So once again, it'd be really, really important for me that I'm learning so many more things that I didn't already know, not just going and repeating something I've already done. It's still a new experience for me.
Well, Travis, we'll get you out of here on this. I know that you don't have a lot of major sponsorship, but you certainly do have a lot of people and some sponsors who are helping you, and we want to make sure that we give you a chance to acknowledge those.
Yeah, well, of course, our number one sponsor is, in more ways than just funding, is the West Virginia University. And really, yes. I like to say that West Virginia as a state is my main sponsor because we get so much attention. We get so much, so many people that want to see what we're doing, that watch the races, that want to hear about it, that, cheer us on. It's been, the funding part of it's one thing, but that thrill and excitement for everybody, including us, is what's made that partnership so great on both ends. And then, we have so many local sponsors from Wheeling, West Virginia, where I grew up. Stony Hollow Tire has helped us a ton. 80 Baker Construction. There's a local Eagles club that sponsors us. And then just recently this year, I started driving for my late model team that they're based out of Dayton, Ohio, and they actually own a trucking company that's called Platinum Express. And they were the sponsor that was on our quarter panel at Kentucky. So we have a wealth of sponsors as well that have helped us over the years that, the list would go on all night. But, those are the people that have helped us tremendously through the past, couple of years here that's really made all this stuff happen and pay off. So when we thank them, we thank everybody that's helped us through all my, my career since I was a kid. So it's been fun, and we're looking to expand for sure.
Well, Travis, you did an amazing job at Kentucky. We're all very impressed and very happy to see the run that you had, and certainly look forward to seeing more of that from you, and hopefully another great run at Kansas, and looking forward to what you might have in store for 2016 as well, and wish you the best of luck the rest of the way.
I sure appreciate it, and like I said, Kansas is definitely not 100% a go at this point, but we're looking at it. We have some people that want to do it, so hopefully we'll go. If not, I still look at it in a positive light that this way we would just end the year on a huge positive note. There's no chance that we could ever end the year on a bad note. So either way, we'll take it and go to the off season and work on next year, and hopefully a big, great year for us. So thank you.
And with that, we will let Travis get back to his schooling, and we will get on with the program. We're going to step aside. When we come back, we'll continue talking ARCA with one of the voices of the ARCA series, Tim Clegg, going to be joining us and have all kinds of good stuff to say, I'm sure. Coming up next here on the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show, you are tuned to the voice of motorsports, the Performance Motorsports Network.
Here's an important message from RAD and this station.
Hi, this is Bob Sheehan from Blues Traveler for RAD, recording artists against drunk driving. I like to party just as much as the next guy, maybe even more, but the one thing I won't do after I've had a few is get in the car and drive. Don't blow it. Always choose a designated driver. Remember, music lives, and so should you.
Motorsports sales professionals. Performance Motorsports is looking to build a team of experienced media sales professionals to represent our programming to the industry's top companies, magazines, and racing series. If you have motorsports sales or marketing experience, know how to work with agencies, understand social media, and are incredibly creative when it comes to working with clients and promotions, then we want to hear from you. Top performers are richly rewarded. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444. That's 717-749-0444, or email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. You want to ask for Sue.
You are a waste. A loser. Everyone hates you. Why don't you just stay in your car and keep driving? I'm serious. Drive until you run out of gas, then get out of your car and walk until you find someone who doesn't think you're dumber than bricks. Could take a while, but at least all that walking might burn a couple of calories.
You may not witness bullying like this every day. Your kids do. They want to help, but they don't know how. Visit stopbullying.gov to learn safe, simple ways your child can help stop bullying. Be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov. A message from the Ad Council.
You own a performance car and you know how to drive, but you want to learn real performance driving. Well, Bunky, get that car off the street and onto the track. Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier road racing facility, located just over an hour from D.C. in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, is the place to go. And you'll find that Friday at the Track is going to give you what you need. For less than a monthly car payment, you can attend this regularly scheduled one-day instructional event in your street car on one of Summit Point's 3 world-class road racing circuits. You'll receive classroom instruction, skid pad instruction in their cars, including front and rear skid control, and 4 20-minute in-your-car instructional sessions from a professional instructor. Have fun, go fast, and really learn how to drive. Call 304-725-8444 for class schedules and details. That's 304-725-8444. Friday at the Track at Summit Point Motorsports Park.
Hi, this is Tyler Dipple, driver in the Pass South series. Let's send it back to Speed 77 Radio, Stock Car Steel, SRI Motorsports Show, here on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Welcome back to tonight's Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show here on Performance Motorsports Network. We like to call it Thursday Night Thunder here on PMN in the last half hour or so of the show. And on the line with us now, Jacob, one of our favorite guests. Whenever Tim Clegg comes on, we are always excited about that. And it gives us a chance to talk ARCA.
Well, we like having him. I think he just thinks we're crazy. But with that being said, Tim, I don't want to talk about us being crazy because I want to talk about Kentucky. And Travis Braden, I think, used the word once or twice when we talked to him a couple of minutes ago. The race was crazy. I mean, you couldn't have scripted the way that went down. From the rain to Austin Cindric losing a tire to the battle between Ryan and Travis at the end of the race. It was just one of those where the field worked out, the circumstances worked out, and doggone, we saw a pretty good show.
Yeah, it was a pretty bizarre race for the ARCA Racing Series at the Kentucky Speedway last weekend, and it started the drop of the green flag. Your pole sitter, William Byron, had to drop to the rear of the field for an unapproved adjustment before the race, and had, unfortunately, he only made it to lap 1, turn 4, and, a 5-car incident started there on the start of lap number 1. And, got rid of a very good car. I mean, I really thought, William had paced himself all weekend, led a lot of the practices, and qualified on the pole. I really thought he had a chance to pick up his first victory, but there was a lot of different strategies played, and it looked like Austin Cindric. They had a great final pit stop and inherited the lead, and he really took off, and unfortunately had the tire go down with about 15 laps to go, and go from bad to even worse after the checkered flag. He had another tire go down and ended up on the front stretch wall with some heavy right front damage. And, I really thought he was going to be the car to beat. He proved it all day. But it came down to Ryan Reed and Travis Braden. And Travis really ran Ryan down from about a second and a half behind and just came up a little bit short, but nonetheless still a very impressive outing for Travis Braden and his family-owned team to come home second in their second ARCA Racing Series start.
What do you think of these two kids? I mean, Ryan, the one who's come down from the Xfinity Series, really to get some more track time, courtesy of Roush Fenway and Lyra Motorsports, and doing a bang-up job in a way coming back to the ARCA Series. And then Travis, who's this soft-spoken kid from West Virginia who none of us I don't think ever really expected to just come out of the box guns blazing like he did. And now he's got an average finish of 1.5 in his 2 career ARCA starts. It's like, we talk about all the time, this is the breeding ground for the future stars of the Sprint Cup Series, but I don't know that it's ever been more true between Cindric, Reed, Braden. Stop and consider you had William Byron in the field, who's on his way to winning the K&M Pro Series East Championship. Brandon Jones. It's unbelievable the talent level that we saw, both fighting for the win and just in general in the field.
It really was. I mean, it was probably the deepest mile-and-a-half field that I've seen in the series in the last 4 to 5 years. I mean, there was honestly 15 to 18 solid race cars that had a chance to win the race. I mean, you mentioned Lyra Motorsports. Sure, they won the race with Ryan Reed, but the more impressive stat was 3 of the top 8 drivers were Lyra Motorsports entries. David Levine, also a rookie in the series, finished third, a career best finish, and that program continues to get better, and it's really drawing a lot of attention to them because, at the beginning of the year, they started as a 2-car team. In the last couple of weeks, we've seen them field 4 entries, but you're exactly right, and I really think this as well has to go to the series for making the switch in the ARCA 396. I mean, there's talking with a lot of people in the garage, there's a lot of teams that are lining up for 2016 to come on board. So I think we're only going to see this series get more and more tough every week to try and win a race here.
You mentioned rookies. I want to talk the rookie battle for a minute because we're now going into Kansas here in a couple of weeks' time, and we've seen a changeover at the top of the rookie standings. And he's got one race that hasn't even been scored yet. He's only run 14 races, and the Scott Rookie Challenge counts your best 15. I mean, are you at all shocked that Kyle Weatherman has come out guns blazing like he has this past 2 months or so? And, for all intents and purposes, if he does what he needs to do at Kansas, it's going to end up winning the award. I mean, this is a kid that couldn't even run 5 of the first 8 races of the season, and now here he is about ready to wrap up the rookie championship. He's won the Calypso Lemonade Short Track Challenge. He's in the hunt with that 22 car for the Car Owners Championship for Cunningham Motorsports. They've literally done or been in contention for every single thing he set out to do this season. And he said at the beginning of the year, that was just a pipe dream.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun to follow Kyle Weatherman's progress this year, especially after a dismal 2014 season, a year that only saw him have 1 top 10 finish with the Rulo brothers. For whatever reason, that relationship did not work very well, and they really struggled last year. But you could see it when Kyle Weatherman was 15 years old, running at Winchester and Salem, finishing in the top 5 there, and then finishing runner-up in the Fall Classic in 2013. You knew it was only a matter of time before Kyle Weatherman was going to become a household name, and he really has since then. I mean, I'm not surprised with the moving to Cunningham Motorsports. He's been, that's a solid team over the last couple of years. That's really helped flourish a lot of talent in the Sprint Cup level, especially, Alex Bowman, Parker Klagerman, Dakota Armstrong, just to name a few. And Kyle really fits that mold. Paul Andrews has really helped groom these race car drivers for the next level. And Kyle has really stepped up to the challenge this year. Only 1 finish outside the top 10. That was that lap 1 mishap at the Pocono Raceway in August. And, I asked Kyle the other week before our broadcast at Salem, I said, man, just imagine if you were old enough to run the full 20-race schedule. It would be a totally different points battle. I mean, we have a runaway champion in Grant Enfinger leading by 325 points. If Kyle Weatherman was able to run the full schedule, I think we would be talking about a very tight points battle heading into Kansas in 2 weeks.
As it is, though, looking at what we've got for Grant Enfinger and the fact that as soon as he takes a lap of practice at Kansas, just like Frank Kimmel a couple of years ago, he will cinch up those 250 bonus points for the 5-race block and put the title officially out of reach for everybody else, Tim. 9th different champion in the last 9 years, and I don't know that you can argue that there's been maybe a more deserving champion than what Grant Enfinger has showcased. 6 wins last year, 6 wins this year. He won the first 3 of the season in both of those campaigns. I know the championship run fell apart last year and Mason Mitchell kind of stole the show, but this year I think Grant Enfinger, that whole GMS racing team, came out from the beginning and said, we are not letting that happen again, and they haven't. And it's just really been incredible to watch. I'll be glad to see it get cinched up at Kansas, because Grant's just one of those down-to-earth Southern guys that, he just comes to the racetrack to race, and I definitely think he's going to do a lot of good for ARCA as a champion going forward.
Yeah, I can't think of a more deserving driver. I mean, Grant's paid his dues a couple of years ago, when we first saw him back in 2009, making a name for himself in the series on a part-time basis. I mean, you knew that he was going to be a great talent if given the right opportunity. And now, last year was heartbreaking for him, winning 6 races and unfortunately losing the championship. But that was despite 4 DNFs. This year, totally different. 6 wins, only 2 DNFs this year, and a streak from Toledo to Coyne that was just unbelievable. 9 straight top 10s. Only hiccup in there was Springfield, and in that run, 4 top 2 finishes. That, I think, was really what catapulted them to that next level. And this team has really grown a lot and developed at all levels with Grant Enfinger. I mean, you look at their Camping World Truck Series program. Last year they really struggled, and Grant's really helped those guys out a lot in the shop where a lot of the races are won. And Grant's only one of 3 guys that works on that number 23 ARCA Racing Series entry, and he does a lot of the work himself. So, he goes over everything with a fine-tooth comb, and I think Grant, not only is he going to be rewarded at Kansas by capturing his first national championship, he's going to be rewarded at the end of the year when we see him run a few Camping World Truck Series events for GMS Racing. It's more than well-deserved. He's really put in his time, and the guy can flat out win in any sort of race car.
I was going to ask you about that, and you kind of took the words right out of my mouth. If we were going to see Grant maybe make the step up a little bit at the end of the year into next year, and I'm glad to hear that possibility, Tim. Definitely looking forward to it. Always glad to have you on, and we'll look forward to talking to you again in a couple weeks here when we put Kansas in the books and officially crown a champion.
Well, appreciate it. Always for you guys always having me on the show and allowing me to talk about my favorite series, the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. And let's not forget that one more race to go for us this year, October 16th at the Kansas Speedway. That race is moved from Fox Sports 2 to Fox Sports 1. So make sure everybody tunes in and see Grant Enfinger crowned as a champion. And who knows, maybe we'll have our 11th first-time winner in 2015.
We're looking forward to it. Check your local listings for the airtime for that event right now. Around the turn, we are going to talk with Doug Copey about his modified win at Loudon, New Hampshire, and then get ready to throw the checkered flag on this show. That's coming up after this. You're listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network.
I'm NASCAR driver Bobby Labonte. At 200 miles per hour, many unseen dangers can arise in the blink of an eye. That's why we have spotters high above the track. They help drivers avoid trouble. Parents need to play the same role when it comes to kids and computers. As a parent, I know the internet can take kids to wonderful sites for learning, entertainment, and fun, but it can also lead to danger.
Here are some safety tips. Keep the computer in a family area where you can see it. Proactively teach your children never to share personal information online.
My turn.
Become knowledgeable about signing on to websites, searching for information, and using email and instant messaging. Doing so will help you recognize potential dangers. Familiarize yourself with safer websites and post that list by your computer.
Like our spotters, parents are best positioned to see the dangers kids could face online and to help them avoid them. Make a commitment to keeping kids safe online.
A message from WebWise Kids and Ask.com.
You own a performance car and you know how to drive, but you want to learn real performance driving. Well, Bunky, get that car off the street and onto the track. Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier road racing facility, located just over an hour from D.C. in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, is the place to go. And you'll find that Friday at the Track is going to give you what you need. For less than a monthly car payment, you can attend this regularly scheduled one-day instructional event in your street car on one of Summit Point's 3 world-class road racing circuits. You'll receive classroom instruction, skid pad instruction in their cars, including front and rear skid control, and 4 20-minute in-your-car instructional sessions from a professional instructor. Have fun, go fast, and really learn how to drive. Call 304-725-8444 for class schedules and details. That's 304-725-8444. Friday at the Track at Summit Point Motorsports Park.
Travel is part of the American way of life.
When we're on vacation, we keep an eye out for anything that looks out of place.
Miss your bag.
When we travel from city to city, we pay attention to our surroundings.
Everyone plays a role in keeping our communities safe.
Whether you're traveling for business or pleasure, be aware of your surroundings. If you see something suspicious, say something to local authorities.
Hi, this is Ozzy Osbourne. For many years, you know I've had a drink problem and I'm trying to battle that problem every single day. But one thing I don't drive my car when I'm drinking. I get someone to drive me. Do not drink and drive. It's the stupidest thing. If you drink, just don't drive. Not only are you going to hurt yourself, you may hurt some other person, and you wouldn't want that on your conscience, would you?
A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation, RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
Time for more of the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on PMN. Here's a man who's in great shape. Round-ish shape. Give it up for Tom Baker.
Okay, hey. Just for the record, I have a public service announcement for you, Tom. Keep in mind, round is also a shape that floats away. Beware of that because we're getting rain this weekend, you see.
Well, and it also, if you're a little bigger, it makes you harder to kidnap. So,
well, I used to run a lot when I was in shape, but that was.
I think the Facebook meme says "stay safe, eat cake," and I do take that very seriously. All right, back to the race talk here on Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show. We do try to have fun while we're talking racing here on the Performance Motorsports Network. And speaking of having fun, we have got Doug Kobe joining us, and we talked about the modified race earlier from New Hampshire that Doug won. Doug, first of all, welcome back to the program. Congratulations on the win. And I'm going to do my part as a member of the media to basically just, stir the controversy and keep the crap going and just ask you the following question. Are you a little worried about a hit squad this weekend in Stafford?
Well, first off, guys, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. I don't think so. It's if a hit squad comes out at Stafford, we got a race left at Thompson. You know what I mean? So there's, I think Stafford's going to be pretty tame and pretty normal, and I think the 3 teams that are contending for the championship here are going to try our best to all 3 be in championship form and just focus on winning a race and leave everything that happened at Loudon behind us. I hope.
Okay. Well, listen. Talk about from your vantage point. Talk about the last couple laps of that race and talk about what went on there, what you were thinking, and what you saw out your net there.
Yeah, well, the best part about talking to you guys tonight is that the race just aired on NBC Sports Network. So the other interviews that I've done this week, I was kind of just banking off of my memory and my knowledge of what happened in the heat of the moment. And there's so much going on. It's the last lap at Loudon, green white checker finish, setting that up. So you're just trying to do everything right and put yourself in a position to hopefully win the race down in turns 3 and 4. And when it happened originally, I said that I thought that the 6 car slowed down quite a bit going into turn 1, and that I got back to the gas and he didn't, and that's why he spun out. Certainly wasn't anything intentional. A lot of people said that I just, dumped him and drove right through him, and I really thought at the time that what I saw was that the 6 car slowed up more than he should have as the race leader going into turn 1. And I'll tell you what, I just watched the video, and my opinion stays exactly the same. I did spin Ryan out. I did make contact with him. He didn't get loose before that, but
he slowed up more than I think he should have as the leader. And watching the video, I'm sure there's going to be people who disagree. There's going to be people who still don't like me and think that I dumped him. But I think a lot of people's opinions are going to change once you really look at the tape and see what happened. And especially when you consider that it is, you're going 150 miles an hour. It's not like you really have a whole lot of time to process what's going on. So,
for sure.
It's a terrible finish that I'm not happy that that's how it happened. I would have loved to have beaten him fair and square, with him finishing second or third or wherever he would have ended up. Or maybe he still had a shot at winning. I don't know. But it is, I said this a lot, it is what it is. I can't change it. I'm happy that nearly a week later, my opinion stays the same. And what I was worried about was that I would watch the video and say, yeah, you really did kind of just screw up and clobber the kid. But I think there's factors that go into every wreck, and I was certainly a part of it, but I wasn't all of it.
So basically what I'm hearing from that, Doug, I know one of the interviews you gave immediately after the race on Saturday, I think it was over the Track PA that I first heard the comment, but you said and kind of described it as modifieds happened. Do you stand by that?
I absolutely stand by that. I mean, it was not a great finish for the fans, but I'll tell you what, I watched the video 6 times in a row, and we came down the front stretch. We were 3 car lengths clear of Bobby Santos and Woody Pitkat. And before I made contact with the back of Ryan's car, there was no contact made yet. That gap had closed to a half a car length or about a car length. So they had made up about 2 car lengths on us from the start-finish line to the middle of turns 1 and 2. And all that can mean is that we were slower than them, and we hadn't been slower than them for the previous 99 laps before that. We drove away from everybody. So I'm not saying that Ryan did something on purpose and that he tried to jack me up and slow me down, but he didn't go in as fast as he had and as he said he had. And, I mean, the result was just me getting to the gas to try to get my run, and he was there. And I suppose people are going to say, well, you got a brake pedal in the car, you can use it. But last lap at Loudon, I was thinking just jump into the gas and roll up to his bumper. And, I'm not gonna hit the brake pedal through turns 1 and 2 at Loudon on the last lap. It's just not going to happen.
No, because I think a lot of what people say and may not realize is just how big the draft is in these cars, Doug. And, the bump drafting and with the restrictor plates, it really does make it so momentum-based that you jump to that brake pedal at the wrong spot and you're screwed to try and make a run back to the flag.
Yeah, I mean, you really, even just watching these races, you really can't quite understand what it's like to be in the draft at Loudon with a modified, and just how critical it is to get to the throttle at certain times, whether you're the leader or in second, to protect your position or to enhance your position. So, it's one of those things where there's going to be a lot of people that are going to make judgments, and I still think there's going to be a lot of people that think I just drove through them. But there's also going to be a lot of people who look at it and say, you know what I saw? I saw the 6 slow up just a little bit, so I'd understand why the guy who's in second, who's antsy to get back to the throttle, rolled to the gas and unexpectedly got to the back bumper that soon. It's not something that anybody can change, and they can debate it all they want. And all I can say is my opinion stays the same from last Saturday until now, so that makes me feel a little bit better going to Stafford, that I think I have a little bit of a leg to stand on when people want to get in my face and tell me that I wrecked them, because I certainly didn't plan it, and I'm feel bad for him that it happened.
Does it change your strategy racing-wise at all? Does it change how you race against Ryan at all going into this weekend?
No, I mean, Ryan and I both know we have to get to Thompson in order to – the big picture is to win the championship. So if somebody does something stupid at Stafford and basically, Ryan can do something to me and potentially wreck himself or get a penalty and hand the championship to Woody at Stafford. So I'm sure Woody's loving it because he knows the focus is off of him, at least for a race. And he can, hopefully in his world go out there and win and pull away from both of us even more and let us settle at Thompson for second. But, it's not going to change my strategy to go to Stafford. Certainly the 3 of us have been really strong at Stafford this year. So if one of us can manage to win the race, that's going to make a huge difference in points going into Thompson. And, we're just going there trying to get max points and claw back to within single digits here of the point leader or be the point leader going to Thompson. And, Stafford is a tricky place at the fall final. It's a day race, and The track changes quite a bit from the summer months to the fall. It's crazy how a month or two just changes Stafford so much. So hopefully we go there with a setup that's fast and a car that wants to win, and hopefully things go our way.
Last question before we give you the sponsors and cut you loose, Doug. If you can close to within single digits, go to Thompson within single digits, and know that based on past success, what you guys are capable of there, do you feel like that would give you a serious leg to go out and win this championship?
Well, I mean, if it's 5 points, yeah, because if you win the race, you can make up 5 points just by leading the most laps. That's a given. If it's 8 points or 9 points, and you go out and win the most, win the race and lead the most laps, then if Woody finished the second or third, which he's pretty much been able to do there behind us, then he's still going to win the points deal by 2 or 3. And then of course you got Ryan in the mix to make up ground at Stafford and go to Thompson with whatever the point situation is. So I really don't know. I mean, I think we've been strong at Thompson, and I think it would certainly. If we could cut this down to 5 or 6, I think it certainly puts a ton of pressure on whoever is ahead of us. And likewise, if we could somehow come out of Stafford as the point leader, it puts a ton of pressure on them. But if one of them goes out there and wins Stafford and puts us back to 15, that's probably a lot to ask us to make up in one race. So I think we just need to go to Stafford and make sure that the 6 and 88 are behind us at the finish, and then hopefully win the race and lead the most laps and gain the bonus points to really put a serious dent in the point deal here.
All right, before we cut you loose, I know you got people to thank. Always want to give you a shot to do that, Doug. Who makes it happen for you and that 2 crew?
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. My crew chief, Phil Moran, and the guys in the shop, car owner Mike Mariglio, and of course our great sponsors, Dunleavy's Truck and Trailer Repair, A&J Romano Construction, Hex Performance, Fox Shocks, Draco Springs, Willwood Brakes, all these guys that help us out, Bob Bruno, Engine Research, LFR Chassis. Such a team effort on the 2 car, and we're looking forward to these last 2 races, and it's going to be a shootout, and hopefully we come out on top.
Boy, that's very true. We're just looking forward to hopefully getting the race in this weekend, Doug, so keep hoping it's not going to rain, and we'll hopefully see you on track this weekend.
All right, thanks guys.
All right, Tom, you just heard from Doug, a lot of different things there, and to be quite honest, I heard a lot of what I expected to hear. I've gotten to see the video a couple of times, and I'm, from my standpoint, I agree with what he said. I don't know that I saw him do anything wrong, and at the end of the day, what I saw was a guy who was running second at the white flag and knows he needs to get a run going into turn 1 at Loudon, and with the draft, it just sucked him in a little too close, and like he said, modifieds happened.
Yeah, it's. I don't believe that Doug intentionally did anything to Ryan, and I really don't believe Ryan thinks that's the case either. Loudon is a whole different type of racing, than what you're used to seeing the modifieds run. And, it's fun for us to sort of, as I said to Doug, it's fun for us in the media to stir the pot a little bit and talk about, short track and modified racing and all of that. But I don't think it was anything intentional, and I hate it for Ryan, and I hate it for Doug because I know he didn't want to win the race that way, Jacob, and I think we got a lightning round coming up here before we close.
Yeah, we do. And really quickly, here's the deal. I'm going to give both of you this question. Tom, you answer it first, and then Kyle can follow you. Besides the rain, what are you excited about this weekend?
Well, I mean, the rain changes what I'm excited about, because I was excited about everything at Dover, and I still am. I'm just not sure I'm going to see any of it until about Tuesday. But that's what I was excited about. If in fact we don't see much racing this weekend, and I guess I'm going to have to be excited about football, which is not a bad second choice. Magda, what's up on your end of things?
Well, Tom, the Tuesday factor is kind of what factored into my decision, but I'm here at Penn State. There's a football game on Saturday. Don't know what's going to happen yet, but one thing you do want to check, Tom, even though they're not racing at Dover, trucks will be at Las Vegas, so hopefully
that's right.
That to look forward to as well. 10 o'clock start Eastern time, by the way, though. That's not very
We are excited about that. Right now, we're excited to throw a checkered flag on tonight's edition of the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show and want to say thank you to our partners at Stock Car Steel and SRI Supplies for making this show possible. For all your shop supply and scrap metal needs, visit stockcarsteel.com or SRI-supplies.com for more information right now. Thanks to all of our guests tonight taking time to talk with us, including Ryan Reed, Tim Clegg, Doug Kobe, Travis Braden. Always good to have Kyle Souza on the broadcast. And for Tom Baker, Kyle Magda, Souza, and, of course, Big Mike behind the glass, I'm Jacob Seelman for the Performance Motorsports Network, reminding you to keep it off the wall until we meet again, and we might see you next time at the racetrack. Have a safe racing weekend. If you're going to be on the East Coast, be safe traveling, and we'll see you next Thursday for the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show. Until then, good night.
You've been listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network. Tonight's show is brought to you by Stock Car Steel and Aluminum and SRI Supplies. For all of your racing needs, visit stockcarsteel.com and SRI-supplies.com. Keep up with the latest motorsports news every day on Race Chaser Online. The Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show is a copyrighted production of the Performance Motorsports Network. www.performancemotorsportsnetwork.com, a member of the Scorpion Radio Group, Inc., and may not be rebroadcast, replicated, or saved in any media without the explicit written permission of PMN. Check out our Facebook page or our section on the PMN website. The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host, co-host, and guests, and do not necessarily reflect those of the management and ownership of either the Performance Motorsports Network or Scorpion Radio Group Incorporated, the advertisers, or the marketing partners. Be listening again next week for more great motorsports programming right here on the Performance Motorsports Network.